Welcome to a brief timeline on Edgar Allan Poe short stories. Our first story is The Pit and the Pendulum, first published in 1842. It follows our narrator as he finds himself strapped down in a dark room with a pit in the center and a sharp swinging pendulum above him. Once he breaks free by using the rats around him and some meat, the walls catch fire and start to close in, forcing him to fall into the pit. Luckily, he is saved before falling in. Next came The Mask of Red Death, published also in 1842 at the height of the Red Death Plague. Prince Prospero decides to host a masked ball that takes place through 7 colored rooms. At the ball, around midnight, a stranger appears wearing all red. Offended by his attire, Prospero and the other nobles chase this figure through all 7 rooms, ending at the Red Room. Prince Prospero demands to know the figure's name and that he will be hung at dawn. The figure shoots Prospero a glare, to which Prospero dies instantly. The other nobles then begin to tear the outfit off the stranger, and to everyone's surprise, there was no one in the costume, to which everyone else dies. Our next story is called The Telltale Heart, published in 1843. Our narrator lives with an old man that has an odd-looking eye that our narrator is convinced is evil. After 8 nights of waiting for the evil eye to open while the old man sleeps, our narrator accidentally makes a noise, startling the old man. After sitting in the tense silence for a bit, our narrator decides the pounding sound of the man's heartbeat is annoying and kills the old man. After chopping up the body and disposing of it under the floorboards, the police arrive at the house. Our narrator is an excellent host to the police, and they happily chat for a while. As time goes on, our narrator begins to hear the old man's heart beat from under the floorboards, and the more they talk, the more our narrator is convinced the police can hear it as well and know he's guilty, but insist on making him look like a fool. It is then that our narrator abruptly admits to the murder and demands to know why the old man's heart continues to beat. The Black Cat, also published in 1843, follows our alcoholic narrator with a tendency to fits of rage down his path of madness. Our narrator's favorite pet is his black cat, Pluto, but as time goes by, the cat begins to annoy our narrator deeply, to the extent that our narrator cuts one of its eyes and hangs it the next day. After drinking at a bar for a while, our narrator sees a black cat with a patch of white fuzz on its stomach and decides to take it home. One night, as he and his wife are walking to the basement, the cat trips our narrator, enraging him to pick up an axe and kill the cat. His wife stops him, to which he kills her instead and bricks her up behind a wall in the basement. He tries to look for the cat to kill it, but it is nowhere to be seen. After 4 days, the police come to inspect the house and end at the basement. As they're about to leave, our narrator comments on how sturdy the house is and taps on the wall his wife is inside. A howling begins to come from the wall, and as the police knock it down, the sound is coming from the black cat sitting on top of the wife's head. The Raven, published in 1845, is a simple poem about our narrator wallowing in his chamber at the loss of his beloved Lenore. He hears a knock at the door and another knock at the window. As he opens the window, a raven flies in and perches itself. At first amused and later angered by the raven's presence, he asks the bird's name, whether it will leave in the morning, if he can ever forget Lenore, and if he will ever be reunited with Lenore. All to which the raven responds, nevermore. The poem ends with the narrator succumbing to his sorrow and living in the raven's shadow forever. Last on our brief list is The Cask of Amontillado, published in 1846. Our protagonist, Montresor, plans to murder his friend Fortunato by using his alcoholic dependencies during the festival season. While Fortunato is very drunk, Montresor tells him he has a cask of Amontillado under his castle, to which the two begin to make their way to that castle. Montresor leads Fortunato to the cellar, but there is no Amontillado. In Fortunato's confusion, Montresor chains him to the wall and begins to brick him behind it. Montresor ends the tale by stating that Fortunato's been there for the past 50 years.